to our November 1st regular general board meeting. Could we have Jorge stand up and lead us through the flag of, please? Anybody wants to step up from Lomita Park? Come on up and lead us in the flag salute, please.
And we're kind of used to a call and response.
Okay.
So it might seem a little bit different than usual.
All right.
So Jorge, here's the microphone.
Got it.
Okay. And which way should they face?
Please stand.
Guys, come over here. And we're facing the thing there. Okay, are you ready, Jorge?
Yes. I pledge to allegiance
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
to the flag
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America
to the republic
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with truth, liberty, and justice for all.
with truth, liberty, and justice for all. Okay. All right, guys, do you want to do the bear pledge?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to do the Lomita Park bear pledge. Jorge, why don't you do it so that everybody's voices can be heard? You got it over here? Stay in the center. Okay. And repeat after the students.
Being a Lomita Park Bear means I am a good person. I deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. Therefore, at school, I will treat everyone with kindness and respect. I came to Lomita to learn. I know if I work hard enough, long enough, I will succeed at learning. Because that's the Lomita Park Bear May. Wait.
That's the Lomita Park Bear Way.
And I'm a Lomita Park Bear. Hear me roar. Roar.
Very good job.
Thank you, Lomita Park. That was great. Okay, this meeting is being recorded for the transcripts of the minutes. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn in the completed speaker card to the board secretary. We'll now report on action taken in closed session. Do I have a motion? So moved by trustee Ferrario.
Second.
Second by trustee Fama. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. There was no action taken in closed session. And so now we're going to go right to the presentations. We have what we call the PCBA, which is the Peninsula Chinese Business Association, and they have been our partners for the last few years, and they have supported our school district in a fantastic way. So I'll ask them to come up. So come on up front here and grab the microphone, please.
Board of Trustees, School District, staff, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is our privilege to be the partner of with the school, local school particular. And we complete this fundraising for Lomita Park Elementary School this year. Today is the end. After we're handing the check, the project is over. But this is not really the end. I think this is just the beginning because our mission is committed to supporting the local school to help the student pursue for a better future. And this is a long-term commitment for us. And hopefully we will continue as long as we can have more supporting in terms of funding. So I have a proposal to do better for next year is to sit down with the trustee and also the school district in the beginning of the year to work for a yearly plan. So, and the school will be expecting what kind of project you have in mind, and we are expecting how much money we have to raise, to help them. So we're going to do a little better partnership. in terms of that. So hopefully we'll continue that partnership. If anything you can need from us, we will definitely wanted to listen and wanted to help, because we are all local. We are all in the same family. So I wish all the little young future and have a great future to proceed with your middle school, high school, and then college. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here we would like to present a check to the school district in the amount of $52,730. Actually, the event was successful. I don't call it extremely successful, but it met our goal, $50,000, and a little bit over on that. So I'm looking for next year we can do much better on that. Okay. So I wanted to present this to
Yes.
the Board of Trustees.
Could we take a picture with you?
Of course, we also have the whole some of the board members in here as well. Yeah.
Maggie?
Okay. We have our founder here, Mr. Baron Soon. Yeah, and also our founding member and previous president Joe Chan. Founding member Francis Ng. And founding member Sammy Yim. I was 3 months away from founding, so thank you very much.
Oh, and we have some handmade cards made by our students. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
I know that our board would like to probably say a couple words.
Yes. Yes.
Can I add on a couple things? Okay.
Give us a check for $52,000.
Okay.
Whatever you'd like.
Probably you know that we have a scholarship program. It's going to keep growing. So we cover 5 high school in the county, and we probably next year will grow to 7 and probably increase the scholarship too. And the reason why we're growing so good because the way we selecting the student and the encourager, it's a very different from people like sitting on the round table and pick wherever they want. So we're looking for not the student really with a top grade, high academic score. We're looking for a student with average grade, but have a heart of helping others. So we want those people, we don't want to leave them behind, so we want to give them encourage. So far we're doing very good, and more people getting attention and more organization corporate wanted to support this program, we got PG&E and AT&T already committed. So that's why we'll continue to growing. But always we got to stay in the Millbrae. It is our first location. And second thing is we have the drawing competition for elementary school, and I wish you guys all kind of join us. So it's going to be in December, right? The final is December. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. I'll start it off really quickly. I just wanted to thank PCBA for being here tonight. And not just that, but for the partnership that I've experienced with you since I've been here. It's extraordinary. I heard such fantastic things about you, I think even in the interviewing process, about PCBA and your partnership with the school districts and just your commitment to the children and the staff of Millbrae. And it's incredibly evident every year. And so for the folks in the room who don't know, it's because of PCBA that we originally were able to afford to have our LVNs across the district when we were coming out of still in COVID, which has been so instrumental in just providing great resources for our children, and not only their physical health, but mental and social health as well. And then the work that you've done this year to support Lomita Park is just exceptional and extraordinary. And much to Johnny's anticipation, $52,000 is, in any way you slice that, excellent and extraordinary. And I know that the team at Lomita Park will do and find great ways to ensure that this benefits the students in their learning and their outcomes. So thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your community engagement. Thank you for your commitment to Millbrae, and most importantly to the students and to our staff. We're deeply indebted to you and look forward to our continuing partnership. And I know that before you leave, we're going to kind of break a little protocol because I know our board is itching to say a few words. So we'll start with our president.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. And you know your board well. Let's start with Trustee Musa, who's back with us. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Actually, our superintendent said it all, but I do have to say our schools cannot do it without organizations like you guys, because of you and your volunteer work and your efforts, because we all know it's not easy to do the work that you do, going out and getting fundraising and putting on these events. All of us as PTAs and moms that have been around doing this stuff, we know it's a lot of work. And so we do, you go above and beyond your full-time jobs and your families. And so every dollar, whether it's $10 or $50,000, it really, really makes a difference in our children's lives in Millbrae. And the fact that you want to continue working with us and really, really emphasizing on how we can help our kids in the future, how we can fundraise and bring money in, and how we can bring programs for our kids. It's just really, 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 that's what we're all here for, is for those children and give them the best education they can possibly get. So again, looking forward to working with you more, many, many, many years. So thank you.
Trustee Fama,
Hey, how much time do I have?
30 seconds.
Well, I can't say enough about this wonderful group of people. I have a story. You know, the old Scout House project, the MCYC, which is on the Taylor property, when about 10 or 15 years ago, it was a complete ruin. And we decided as a community to rebuild it. And if you've been to it or haven't, make sure you get down to see it. We completely renovated that building with no tax dollars. It was done entirely by this community. And do you know who the first group was that gave us a check that allowed us to hire an architect? It was the PCBA. I'll never forget that kindness. So I know my 30 seconds is up, but I have to say, I love you people. You are the kindest, most generous group of folks that they ask for nothing. They ask for nothing. They don't want any acknowledgement, but I'm acknowledging you tonight. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done for our schools and our kids. I have a second announcement. For several years, 6 or 7 years, I think, I've been reading at Lomita Park. And we stopped a little bit with the COVID. I did a little bit of Zoom reading, but I'm happy to tell you that I'm coming back on Thursday. I'll be there this Thursday for the first time. So this is a double celebration for me. So thank you all so much.
Wonderful. Trustee Ferrario?
Well, it's no secret that PCBA has been a major, major supporter to the Millbury School District for many, many years. Many projects, I won't even go into all of them. But I just wanted to quote something that they have on their website, which says, "We lend because we care," which is exactly what we saw at the event, the gala that the PCBA put on for Lomita Park School in September. It wasn't something that happened just so quickly. President LaRosa and Vice President, Norman Yep, and Angie Samlee came and visited Lomita Park back in the year before June. And they saw that there was a need there. They saw the challenges that the Lomita Park school community was facing. And it just touched their hearts. And they came in because they cared. They came in because they saw something that needed to be done. And so they worked with our principal at Lomita Park at that point in June. They had ongoing conversations that ended in the gala, which was in September of this year. I have to tell you that it just was so heartwarming when our Lomita Park students were singing that evening and looking at Mr. DeRosa and Miss Sam Lee. They had tears in their eyes as they were watching the students and watching the parents observe their kids at this event. And so I just want to thank you so much for caring and for showing your heart, and that's what you do best. And so just thank you so much for supporting Lomita Park, for supporting the school district, and I know we're going to be having many more conversations together in the future. So thank you.
Trustee Chin?
Well, so many wonderful things have already been said, but I mean, I will say that I want to add that PCBA is really just represents everything wonderful about community, because you started this organization with the mission of helping students, especially during budget cuts, and I know that the group that's sitting here today, many of your kids have graduated long from Millbrae schools, and yet you still continue this tradition of fundraising, and you still care. And you still are not only donating, this generous check, but also your time. And your kids have long gone. And I think that that's just everything that represents, community. And we couldn't be more grateful for your time, your effort, and this wonderful donation. And I think that I can just, I'm just so pleased to have this relationship and looking forward to building it more in the future. Thank you so much.
PCBA, when you started out, you were an outside group that came in and became really part of the inside. And when Trustee Fama talks about the heart, everything that you do, your organization does is from the heart. And focusing on a school like Lomita Park, who just so happens to have plenty of heart and plenty of care for their kids. And so it's just so appropriate to give them the help that they really appreciate and need. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so glad that you're a partner with the Millbrae School District, and I hope to know all of you and work with all of you soon. So thank you very much. Okay, so now we have another presentation. This is the Spotlight, Lomita Park, Principal Scott Carson.
And this is from the fundraising event that the Peninsula Chinese Business Association did. And how do I advance this? Just the arrows key? Okay. So first, I wanted to give you guys some just a quick things about what's happening at Lameda Park. Has become a thing. That's a Debbie French phrase. And so Chris Renteria saw that we had all these poles and encouraged us to get some tether balls. And he actually went, and because he saw that the kids weren't playing it correctly, the custodian actually taught the kids the rules to the game, and it actually goes much better than before. We use art to increase our understanding of science. This is from Mrs. Madrano's classroom, and they did spiders for Halloween, but they also learned about arachnids. Some very important VIPs have come to Lameda Park to do small group instruction, including Debbie French, Terry Brenner, and here you have Ralph Crane doing some small group instruction in the library. We learned about safe routes to school with the hip-hop assembly. We learned about protecting the environment and conserving water. I just thought you should get a little taste of what it looked like.
All right. Balance, long and ready.
Oh, too fast. Let's see. So our focus areas for this year are developing our professional learning communities, fine-tuning our positive behavior intervention and support, working with our community partners to improve the student experience at Lameda Park School, and attendance, attendance, attendance. Professional learning community at Lameda Park. So we have a few members of our guiding coalition in the audience tonight. Kathy Zavaleta, Kelly Osorio couldn't make it, and Carolina Orlando. We meet and we come up with the agendas for what we're going to discuss during our PLT times. And so I don't actually lead the PLT times. It's actually Kathy, Kelly, and Carolina who lead them. And so we meet all in the library, and then we divide into groups to work on what we're going to do. Currently working on our SMART goals for each grade level team. And I want to show you the document that my school will be working on tomorrow. I don't know if Carrie Dees or maybe even Ms. DeMaio, did you work on this form? Well, let me go over it a little bit. Part of what a PLC does, a professional learning community does, is to set a goal, and a realistic goal based on student data. And so all the way from the LCAP at the district level to the school-specific plan, the single plan for student achievement, and down to now in terms of professional learning communities of grade level teams getting together, looking at the student data, and coming up with a goal. So if you see here, there's a link so that they can go to both the LCAP and also the SIPSA goals and come up with a goal for themselves. What I'm really impressed with, though, for example, our first grade team has decided, since they're being observed this year, is that they're going to use their observation to work on the goal that they're developing. So for the first grade team, it's combinations of addition up to 10. And they were convinced if we could get every student in first grade to be able to do this, this would be a major accomplishment. And so tomorrow we'll be filling this out after the guiding coalition goes over this and working on their teams and then submitting it to the guiding coalition. So that's just a snapshot of what we're doing during those early release days on Wednesdays. PBIS at Lameda Park. We start every day with the Bear Pledge. That's something I got when we went to Sacramento. I went to one workshop and talked about the importance of having quotes and sayings and affirmations in the around the school to kind of set a higher bar, give kids a goal. Actually, let me backpack just a bit. I think the next step is, after the teachers have come up with a goal, the students should be starting to look at their own data and taking responsibility for it and setting a target for themselves of what they'll be working towards in, say, the next several weeks, going, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is where I could be, and what do I need to do that? What effort do I need to put into my work so that I can achieve these goals for myself? I know when I was growing up with grading, sometimes you thought of yourself as an A student or a B student, And I don't think that's really very helpful, you know, because some people, when they label themselves, they don't think they can achieve things like, oh, the smart kids get all the A's. But what can I do as a student if I set up a realistic SMART goal for myself and I come up with a plan? So a lot of this is trickling all the way down. And so I think the next step is, after we start the PLC process with the teachers, is starting the PLC process with the students themselves. So let me go back. So we posted our behavior expectations throughout the school. We've seen a decrease in behavior incidents across the school compared to last year. And we're looking forward to working with the County Office of Education from Santa Clara to refine our expectation matrix. So here's the pledge that the students say every morning before we start the school. Here's an example of one of the behavior matrix for the classroom. Kelly Weigel is working with the student leadership team, and what we want to do is to make our school seem more inclusive. So we're trying to incorporate many of the languages that from where our families speak at home. And so we're going to increase putting up signage in multiple languages to kind of make parents and the students feel welcomed. Our community partners, the Peninsula Chinese Business Association. This is the performance from at the Airport Hilton, and the kids were so pleased to be there. The PCBA made sure that they had a great little dinner before they start to be there. The parents came and stand in the back of the auditorium to watch their kids perform. It was really very moving. And we got to see Martin Yan and a lot of other people go up and for the auctions. A lot of fun for a fundraiser. Oops. Sorry about that. I want to also acknowledge the Millbury Education Foundation for the music program. So let me see if this is going to work. This is hard without my glasses, Jeff. I might need somebody with younger eyes. Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, let me use the mouse here. Our PTA is so generous to us, and it's a real reflection of the school. I usually meet with all our PTA members at the front gate every morning, and they always ask us, what do we need? Or do you need any volunteers? And they always are there. And I think what helps our staff too is every once in a while somebody from the PTA buys us like muffins, or there'll be some incredible treat. And if you haven't had a PTA Bear Box, which is one of our big fundraisers, it's some of the best. What's the type of meat? It's from Japanese? Yeah, I had it twice, and it melts in your mouth. It's unbelievably good. So they help with classroom experience. They are volunteering on the yard, and I don't know, it just makes for a lot warmer environment knowing that we have PTAs back. And I just thought you should some of the Halloween parade from yesterday. And plus Miss Eveletta in a dress, which I'm going to auction off on eBay. And then the Lions Club, of course. Those assistance cards that you give for our families means so much. We have a lot of single parents, a lot of people having medical difficulties at home, and you can't believe the expressions of gratitude we get when we hand them out. We say, this is from the Millbury Lions Club. So we are deeply, deeply appreciative of that effort. And then also the world famous Lions barbecue that we have usually in the springtime is also another great event. So here's another little snapshot of yesterday's parade. Okay, attendance. This is crucial. We have a goal in our SIPSA that we're going to improve our attendance from roughly 95% to 97%. And we thought this year, you know, we're out of the pandemic, we're going to be able to make it. But Julie, the school nurse, Lustig, and Claudette were working with me, calling people because the kids aren't coming in. We had 13% of our kids out today, and for a variety of medical reasons. A lot of our parents work in the service industry. They're exposed to a lot more pathogens than, say, if you're working in an office or something like that. And just the stress of being from a Title I school takes a toll on a number of our students' health. So we are working on it. We are educating the parents about the importance of attendance, that you can't learn unless you're in school. And in the United States, we have only 180 days of school. A lot of other countries have 200, 210. If you go to Singapore, go to some of the more developed countries, they have longer school years. So those every day of those 180 days really, really matter and really are important. And so we're trying to preach the gospel of attendance to Lomita Park, but we do have some hurdles to overcome in terms of some of the difficulties our families face. And that's the end for our spotlight. Yeah. Ed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, come on up, Scott. Yeah. So, okay, so I'll do my thing now, and I'll ask the trustees to have it. If anybody has any questions, please ask Principal Scott.
Do you have any questions? I thought I covered everything, yeah. Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Scott, I have no question, but I just want to commend you. It was a great presentation. Thank you so much. You really highlighted so many areas of Lomita Park, and you know how near and dear the Bears are to my heart. I just have to say that there is no, we all know that Lomita Park has a huge lift, a big lift, and our teachers carry that lift. You carry this lift every day, and so all of the support that we can give you is our pleasure, because we know that that's so important to bring all of our kids to that next level. And so I just want to say that with you mentioned about the math program, I mean PCBA, their whole fund is for math, so I'm sure you're doing a lot with added.
Well, we'll speak to that. Superintendent French encouraged me to apply for a grant called Mouse Shelf, and we got the grant, and part of it is develop new number sense in TK and kindergarten students. So we got the tablets in, we got to have them configured, there's a little bit of training, but yeah, we're definitely going to gear most of the funds that we got from PCBA to either field trips, and there's going to be a math component to it, or everything kind of emphasizing math. So yeah.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I just want to say congratulations on all your hard work, and to the staff out there and to the kids at Lomita Park, because without them, we're not here.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Lomita Park staff, student, would you please stand up? We need to applaud you. Everybody stand up. And I forgot to tell the parents, Parents, please stand up. Parents as well. And it's no easy task to do a school presentation the day after Halloween. So I have to stand for that one.
Yeah. Well, Claudia asked me how many cookies, and I said, well, 25 kids said they were coming, but it's the night after Halloween, so yeah.
So everyone gets 2.
Any other questions?
Quick question.
Quick comment that thank you for the presentation. I'm very glad that we have a chance to stay,
Oh,
learn about the goals and missions of this school. So really appreciate it.
okay. Thank you very much.
It's not. It's a question. It's a comment. PTA. I keep hearing about those bear boxes for many times, and I don't get emails and I don't get any links to order a box. So I would love for you guys. I don't know if I missed it, but I would love for you guys to email us. I would love to get. Okay, just I don't know how you. I know I don't get emails from your schools, but if you just send us as a board, we'd love to be. We'd love to join you.
We'll
If
make
you
sure
don't.
it happens.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you. I know you get to meet from Papes, and I've heard so many great things about it. I would love to get one soon. So, anyway, Scott, thank you for a great presentation. It sounds like you have a lot of fun. I know Lomita Park always has fun. You guys are amazing, but there's a lot of great stuff going on, and so thank you for your leadership over there. I just do want to highlight one thing that you mentioned, which is really, really, it really caught my attention. And when you talked about scores and you talked about kids and it's not so much letting the kids know what their scores are, but I hear a lot kids say, you know what, I'm not good at math. I'll never be good at math, or I'm not a good writer, or I'm not good at this. And it's really important to know that let those kids at a young age, you don't have to be a best writer writing books, but you can improve writing. You can build and learn how to do math. So this whole thing, sometimes us parents say to our kids like, oh, I was always so bad at math. So the kids get the idea of like, oh, I'll be like it'll be an excuse of not to be good at math. So it's good for us as adults to tell our kids, it's okay. We all can be good at things. It just takes time. So thank you for bringing that up. So
I think most of the kids too know that I had speech up until 2nd grade. I really didn't learn how to read until about 2nd grade because I had such difficulty with my speech. Audio processing disorder as well as attention deficit. Math came easy to me. It was writing and speaking that was difficult. And so that's what I had to put the most effort into. And that's why we have in the pledge, I got to work hard. And sometimes you do have to work hard. And I tell the kids, it's not always about fun. It's sometimes putting in some real effort into trying to improve where you're at. And sometimes acknowledging that you have some weaknesses. So talking was very difficult for me. Writing was very difficult for me. And I made that was my goal, to become a writer and to be able to learn how to speak well. Yeah. I'm before IDEA, so I'm not really a special ed student, but I would have been, given how delayed I was in my own education. So yeah.
great.
Trustee Chin, anything?
Thank you for your presentation. I think it was really great to hear about everything that's going on within Lomita Park. I really like your pledge, the Bear Pledge. And so I can't remember if it was who was it that led the, yeah, he was great. And you all did a great job at that. I really appreciate the affirmations that are in it because I hope you guys really take that to heart. I think the one thing that didn't show up in your presentation is really about the strength of your community and your school group. Whenever I visit Lomita Park, I feel this sort of closeness and real strength in the group that exists. It's a little different energy than at the other schools, and I think with that energy, you guys can do so much in terms of being able to elevate so many of the kids that are there. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because that doesn't always come through in a slide, but it is something that is really truly unique to your school and something that I think is a real positive. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
I think we're very good at looking after each other. I feel looked after. It's like I'm like the doddering grandfather figure of the when they this way, Grandpa. And I'm like, okay, I'm going in that direction and stuff. And I hope that they know that I love and support them as well. That I try to bring out the best in everybody there. Yeah. Yeah.
Trustee Fama.
Yes, thanks. Grandpa Scott, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Each of our schools has a different personality. They're all different and the same, all at the same time. I've always had a special place in my heart for Lomita Park because I know the teachers and the staff. I know the students as they come and go. I can't believe they graduate as quickly as they do. I know the community of parents and PTAs, and I know how hard you work to be successful. All of you work together to make these children successful. And then when you add on to that, one of the most generous and selfless group of supporters in the PCBA, I can't think of a better combination to make a successful education for our kids. So I want to thank everyone in this room for what you do and tell you that you've got my support forever and ever. Thank you.
Well, that's really hard to follow. But as all the trustees said, we really feel that Lomita Park is a little special. And really it's because of the community, the love that we see. And you mentioned the Lions Club. And 15 years ago when I got into that club, they took me to Lomita Park and we did barbecues and we did pancake breakfast and we saw the community. Fast forward 15 years later, the PTA comes to Lions and they ask for their support in a barbecue in April. They left the room, and I have to tell you, and I'll be honest with you, there were 4 of us that fought on who was going to chair the event. We all argued. I jumped up and said, I'll chair it. Lynn Clinton said, I'll chair it. Wayne Lee said, I'll chair it. We had a 4th person who I can't remember, and we started arguing. I said it first. And finally the president had to step in and say, no, the 2 of you could chair. You pick between the 2 of you. The 2 of you are out. And so Lynn and I are chairing it in April, and we're really excited. We really are. We get excited, and we're working on a lot of other programs. Eyeglasses. We're bringing back the Lions Club Eyeglass International, and so we're already, with the help of Jolie DeMaio, we're identifying some children that are having difficulties reading, and that is just a tragedy. And so we're taking care of that. So it's a whole community that comes together that supports our schools, and especially Lomita Park. So I feel so good about everything. I want to thank everybody like everybody else did here. What a team we have here. We could not do this without everybody together with one goal. So thank you all very much. Okay, I think Maggie Musa just mentioned the cookies. Don't leave without a cookie. PCBA, we have cookies here. Okay, we're ready. We're ready. Okay.
Talk about their data.
Educational Services Data Presentation.
Good evening, President Barbaro, trustees, and everyone else in the room. So we're going to present data to you, and we're going to do this quite quickly. But if anyone is interested in doing a deeper dive, just let me know. I will personally sit with you and walk you through all of this. So the first slide, and I know these are difficult to see, so that's why we're going to gloss over it a little bit, but you have the link to the slide deck, and you will have another link that's in this slide deck to what I'm calling a data wall, for lack of a better term. But this is our current enrollment, and basically the trend is that our enrollment has decreased somewhat over the last few years. And then we're going to move into our state test. The test results just became public a few days ago. Can you see the screen okay, or do we need to tilt it this way a little?
Maybe a little tilt to this side.
And so I'm going to stand this way.
Beautiful.
You know what? Before I start, I should introduce my team. I have them up here because I want you to see them and hear them and know how important they are to me. These two are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met, and together we make a great trio. We really complement one another, and boy, we just work in tandem and know what needs to get done, and we just do it. So I'm going to do quick introductions, and I'm going to make you do your own.
Great.
And I know you don't need any introduction.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Rich Rodriguez. I am the EO coordinator for our LEA.
Hi, I'm Julie DeMaio. I'm currently the MTSS coordinator for the district, multi-tiered system support.
Thank you. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is our state data, and I have it broken down by our schools. And so then you can see the scores, and those scores that you are seeing are proficient and above. For example, if you look at Green Hills third grade, it shows that they are 73% proficient or above in ELA. The other way you could turn this is to say that what would be the math here? I'm so horrible. 27, that's what I thought. 27 are not proficient or above. So we do have a little bit of work to do. When you look down the columns at our different schools, yes, you're going to see that Lomita Park has much lower scores. And I'm calling that out simply right now because what I want you to understand is while their scores are lower, we have some local measurements, our STAR data, which we're not including in this presentation tonight, which shows that they are growing. And in some cases, when you see some of the comparisons, you'll see that there might be some quicker growth at Lomita. They're still behind the other schools, but they're closing that gap. And so we're hoping to see that trend continue. All right, so these are our CAS scores, and I like these particular screenshots because I love the color graph because I'm a visual learner and it's so easy to look at these colors and just get a quick overview. So I'll kind of explain what this is. Right now what you're looking at, pardon me, is our third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth, seventh, and eighth on the CASP. And what you're seeing, this is for, I think this one is for math. It should say that on here. It says it up there. And it shows you how many students are in the red. The red means they did not meet standard. The next category up is yellow, which means nearly met, and you see that black dividing line. The green and the blue are the things that are above standard. So green means they met standard, and blue means they exceeded standard. So you can go in and look at numbers. I know you cannot see them on here, but again, you have this slideshow. But for me, sometimes just glancing and getting that quick visual of the rainbow of colors there helps me to see, okay, I see we have work to do. I want to point out a trend. Do you see how the red is increasing? It's getting bigger. Unfortunately, that's a trend we really don't want to see. But I'm being very transparent with all of you. What we're seeing is that when students start in third grade, the amount or percentage of students that do not meet standard is smaller, and it continues to sort of grow. So that gap for all students kind of widens, so we need to work on that, and we'll be sharing this data with everyone so that they can see this. And then this is the same type of graph, and this is for English language arts. Now we don't see the red gap here quite like we do in math. So we have a little bit different trend here with ELA. But again, seeing a lot of green and blue on the other side of that line is a great thing. And again, that is a great visual to look at to get a quick overview. Again, you can look at the percentages. I know you can't see them right now on the screen here. So roughly what this means is overall, our third graders, we have about 60, gosh, this is so blurry for me, 64% that are achieving at standard or above. And it's kind of the same as you go down the line. So roughly speaking, you know, just big picture estimate, for English language arts, we're right around, as a district, 65%. And for math, I'll just go back to that slide real quick. That one looks more about the same, about 65%. And that's just a really quick averaging of scores. That's not an accurate picture, but just off, you know, just walking in, just looking at overall big picture data. So that tells us that we do know we have some work to do. All right, and then this is the data wall that I linked in, and I just want to quickly do that and show you how this works. Will this, oops. I can't do a lot, click into it, can I? It will work, okay. Oh, we're getting the spinning wheel. Oh, it won't work. All right. Well, that's okay. I'm going to make sure that you have access to this. It is a work in progress, but what I did was, oh, you have it in your, good, awesome. All right, super. So when you look at that, what this is going to represent is, it's one thing to look at the data right now. How did we do this year? But I'm interested in looking at growth over time. So what I did was I put like our current 8th graders, and then you can look and see the graph of how they achieved in 7th grade, in 6th grade, in 5th grade, in 4th grade, and you can see that progression over time. So that should be all in there. And again, I would be more than happy to sit down with any of you and walk you through and have a deeper discussion about our data, because I'm telling you right now, I think it's super, super important that we understand that.
Okay, so that's okay. So this is just a graphic. You know, she talks about being visual. I'm super visual. I took the total enrollment and made it a visual by looking at the column, because what I'm focusing on is our CSACE plan and helping those kids that we have been significantly disproportionate in identifying, which is our Hispanic Latino, which represents roughly 20% of our total population. And the reason that that's significant is when I look at our current students with IEPs, they represent over 45% of our students with IEPs. And so that's significant disproportionality. And so when we look at those current students with IEPs, we look at, well, how did they get here? You can see a large number of the percentage came from parent referral. Very, very few from teacher, but a lot came also through our student study teams, our intervention teams, that were looking at these students and recommending them for assessment plans. So that's where we can really make a difference in looking at our practices and our systems that are in place. So that's what we've been working on over the last year that I've been here. And when we look at our English learners that need urgent reading intervention, this is based on our STAR scores, which is an internal common formative assessment that we can use 3 times a year at least. Some teachers do it more. But when we look at it at 2nd through 5th grade, we can see, again, the percentage of students needing urgent intervention is largely Hispanic again. So what can we do about that? How can teachers who are concerned about their students' reading address this situation? So looking at race and ethnicity, our Hispanic learners who are also being identified for special education are having the most challenge, have not yet achieved grade level in reading. And I feel like as a teacher, reading is sort of the gateway to all of the other subjects. If you can't read a word problem in math, you're going to struggle more on it. If you can't read your science or your social studies, and our publishers currently can only walk back about 2 grade levels in their publisher accommodations. It's up to the teacher to figure out how to make it accessible to the others. So that's why this number is significant. And that brings us to how closely Rich and I have to work.
Well, I thank you for that. And you know, there really is, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we really are a dynamic team and we do work well together. And when we look at data, you know, there's many ways to look at data. We looked at some summary data right now in terms of how students are performing as a grade level and as they move forward. We started to disaggregate that data based on ethnicity. Julie showed some slides regarding how our students are then, based on that ethnicity, what they're doing with respect to IEPs and what the percentages are there. And then lastly, these last couple of slides talk specifically about our English language learners. So one of the things that's really important is that when we look at data, we look at some of the details. It is entirely possible, and although Hispanics are overrepresented in IEPs based on their population within this district, that's the figure you just shown, our English language learners are part of that population. And so what you see on this particular slide is basically the tail of the tape of the process of being an English language learner, where they're initially identified when they come into our district. They're given a language assessment by the state, very similar to the CAFS measure that they take. That identifies them within a level 1 through 4. 4 being the highest level, where they're ready to be reclassified. 1 being essentially the emergent level, where they're essentially the first level of acquiring English. And then we talk about where they are and where they fall into in terms of the various schools and how we are as a district. Now, one of the things that's really important to note is that, you know, these children are not static. Every single year they move on from one category to the next. And on the state measure, which is the LCAP, the language assessment I just mentioned, the expectation is that our children will make 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. So if they start at a level 1, the subsequent year when they take this exam, which is around February, March of every year, and we're gearing up to do that, they'll make 1 level jump. So ultimately, we want to get them to that level 4 for their redesignation. So this is our current EL data right now, which basically shows that we expect one child to make a year's growth in a year's time, but that is not always the case. And so when we disaggregate further, we find out that certain students basically get to a level 2 or 3, which is the mid-range in terms of that classification, and then they sort of basically flatline in terms of their progress. There are a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, key is reading comprehension and the changing of curriculum in terms of the rigor as you advance through the grade levels. But one of the things that we need to remember is that children are taxed cognitively in 2 ways. 1, because they're learning a second language, and 2nd, because they also have the rigor of grade level standards. So the bilingual mind, or the English language learner, has that cognitive load. And so one of the things that we need to do is take that into consideration. Why that's so important is because of the previous slides that Julie just showed you, to make sure that our teachers and all of us here in this room and others can understand that the process of acquiring a second language is a process that is in many respects linked to, but also independent of content. And so we need to have a care so that we're not over-identifying our children into special ed. And I think this brings us back to this part. Thank you.
Thank you, you guys. Again, if you want to know more about data, just let me know. We're going to shift gears, and I just want to share something with you that we're going to be announcing quite soon. And that is we're going to offer a pilot program to our elementary teachers. Currently, our kindergarten, first grade, second grade does what we call DRA. And the comments that I have heard is that it's very, very lengthy. And it takes a long time to administer to students. A comment I heard from the publisher or the company that we'll be working with on this pilot is that DRA has a lot of room for human error. So we're looking at STAR early literacy. We already use STAR in our upper grades. And so we're going to do a pilot at no cost and offer that for our teachers to try it out. We feel that this will give us a more streamlined data, as we'd be using the same company, and so then all of the data will be there for all of our students. One of the things or a wondering that I had is with DRA being so time consuming, it's very lengthy. It seems to me if we're giving that to students that we already know are reading at grade level or above, then we really shouldn't be spending that kind of time perhaps. And so more of a screener type model would be better. So what this does is it's more of a screener. And then the students who do not score well would definitely we would go deeper with them and find out more information. So it would be a lot less time consuming. I'm not going to pretend to know a ton about DRA nor about this pilot program, but we had researched it. We went to a conference. We gathered some input from teachers and others in the community that use it, and we just hear nothing but good things about it. So we want to offer that as a pilot and then compare it to DRA, have some discussions with our teachers at the end of the pilot to see if this is something that we may want to move forward with for next year. And so I threw in 2 slides that tell you just a little bit about STAR literacy. It actually also, the screener actually looks at early numeracy as well. So we get 2 things out of it. And so I won't read the slides to you, but again, we just think this would be a great opportunity, and we'll be sending something out to staff this week about the pilot to sign up for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
Just a couple of questions. And Rich, you had mentioned about the referral process for kids coming in for special ed, and that's heavily in the Hispanic population. So the MTSS tier for referral, so what are the interventions that are happening in Tier 1 for these kids and Tier 2 before they even get to the referral process?
Well, first Tier 1 instruction happens best in the classroom by the classroom teacher, supported with some of the differentiation that they have within their core series. So for example, in my realm of working with our EL students, for that, the traction is essentially the Wonder series at the elementary and Amplified, which is our ELA series. And with that, there are strategic differentiated materials that are there, and they're aligned to ELA and ELD content standards. So that's your first go-to with instruction. Along with that, there are other types of curriculum that happens within the classroom in terms of, as Julie was mentioning, differentiating further, because again, if you have a child, say in 4th and 5th grade, potentially your series may not go that far. And then again, the teachers are working with us, they're pulling us as resources, and also within their grade level teams. So it's a multifaceted approach at the first tier level. Within that, moving on to the second tier, then you're looking at more targeted approach, because then you have more accurate data on your students, and they may need a specific type of skill, asset-based reteaching and small group instruction and things of that sort. But then that's moving into a second tier level of support.
Mm-hmm. And if I could just follow on to that, as MTSS coordinator, I'm invited to participate in many of the intervention team meetings where students that we have concerns about are discussed. And one of the things is we check, has designated and integrated ELD been happening, as well as the 3 things that teachers are most concerned about: student engagement, work completion, and attendance. So I know Scott stood here and said about attendance being such an important thing at his school. We're seeing that it's important at all the schools. We can't teach them or do interventions if they're not here. So that's a focus, as well as small group instruction. Limiting the teacher as the sage on the stage and really finding the groups, which we will be doing as part of our PLT work, is looking at the data. And STAR Early Literacy, as well as the STAR program, can really help you hone in not just on the kids who are not yet reading at grade level, but all of your students, to help you group them into convenient groups, both heterogeneously and homogeneously, because it's really important that you also have good role models when working. So those types of grouping things will be coming out of our PLT work as well.
Okay. And my other question was, do you feel as though the RFEP process, sometimes we RFEP our students too early because the content in grades 3 through 5 tend to be a little bit more sophisticated, and maybe, can we do a wait and see for those kids, or we don't want to get them out of the program? So what's your feeling on that?
That's a great question. And my thoughts are that every time we move towards reclassification of a student, there are multiple criteria outside of the state measure that we here within the district have selected to take a look at. Some of them are our local measures, like our star reading data. In addition, they also have to have a certain proficiency level on the state measure, the CAS, which is grade level standards, or they also have to have an equivalency if it's a lower grade and below third grade. We also need to take a look at DRA, ESGI. We also get teacher recommendations. We also have parents to weigh in. So it's a composite overview. But to answer your question specifically, I don't like to typecast by the group, but look at each individual child, because again, there's going to be diversity in that. And I'll give you just an example. Just today, I got a request from the middle school of a child that was enrolling in 6th grade. And at first, the child is Hispanic, and we were led to believe that that child was an English language learner. We researched further and found out that English is not a second language. They're Hispanic ethnically, but English is their primary language. So it really does take that kind of detail for us to look at when we evaluate children and make determinations, especially when you're talking reclass.
I think it's important to add there that there's a requirement for monitoring after a student is reclassified. Yes. So that continues for
Two.
It's 2 years, but we can do up to 3. Yeah, it's a recommendation.
My other question was, when it comes to doing some EL testing at the beginning of the year, say for a kindergarten, first grade student, and this is probably, I'm not sure of the answer, but would it be advantageous to assess those students in their home language rather than in English, so that we can assess what they know in their home language? Because many times these students are very, literacy is high in their home language, but not in English.
I have been in districts where both have been done, in the sense where we looked at primary language and done 2 parallel assessments in English and in Spanish. And of course, I've been in districts such as this that has structured English immersion, and we do not do the primary language testing up to the present time. My own thoughts on that are, assessments are good, but it really is the program and the individuals that you have that can assess it and adhere to like standards. In other words, meaning that you can have a good assessment, but if it is not rounded in good theory, and if it's not well known in terms of the people that you have to roll out that exam and do it in a timely manner that doesn't impede, first instruction, then yes, I would be in favor of something like that. But you also do need to have the good bilingual models to do that, or multilingual models, and that's why we use heterogeneous groupings. But as a matter of fact, anyone asks me to basically work at a student and do an informal screening because I happen to be bilingual in Spanish, yeah, I'm your guy.
Thank you very much.
Quick question. So over the years, I've heard our middle school teachers make comments to me personally about they could tell what grade school the student came from without even looking at their profile. So I'm wondering, we've heard intervention a million times now. Could you just quickly walk me through what an intervention looks like for a student, like a scenario, like quickly, like, how does it work?
So when we talk about intervention, this is such a much larger conversation, which I'd be happy to have, but there's something that we call a pyramid. a triangle, and it's 3 tiers. Tier 1 is just good solid core tier 1 instruction, and 80 to 85% of our kids should be successful in that tier 1. And when we talk about what good instruction looks like, it's not the way I learned as a child. It's probably not the way most of us in this room learned as children. Typically that was, we're going to teach to the middle, and if there were kids who already got it, and we're beyond that, oh well, sorry, I have to reach my kids. And if there were kids who didn't get it, so sorry, somebody needs to take them. I taught it, therefore they should have learned it, and if they didn't, somebody else is going to need to help them. And that's just kind of a really sad scenario, but it is, I think it's what we're seeing across the nation. This isn't just a problem here in Millbrae, it's everywhere. And so when we talk about intervention, it really starts with your lesson design. When I came through the system in Wisconsin, we did something called Understanding by Design, UBD. And in that, we were taught that our lesson plans had to have the differentiation piece built in. So basically, you thought of dividing your class almost into 3 separate groups: high, medium, low, whatever, above standard, at standard, below standard, whatever, however you want to label that. And you planned your lessons accordingly so that you had pieces in there. And so an intervention might be, and I actually did this not yesterday, when I visited Green Hills. I spent some time there today as well as Friday, and I did not a pull out, but took 2 kids aside and did an intervention with them while the class was working as a large group on a lesson. And the teacher was there circulating the room and then checking in with the 2 that I was working with. And so it was just going deeper with them on what they were learning. They were actually sounding out letter sounds, which I've never been a 2nd grade teacher, and it was just really quite interesting. I had to watch the teacher do it first and then help the kids, sounding out the letters and just really giving them some more one-on-one time because they're maybe learning it a little bit slower. There's a lot of different things that we can do as far as intervention in the classroom, but it really comes down to working, a lot of times it comes down to working in smaller groups within the classroom with our kids. Sometimes it's pairing the students who are struggling with students who are high achievers, because we see that influence and we see how that works. When you put students together that are all low, which would be sort of that pull-out type program, the results are not going to be as good. The research shows that putting students together in the classroom is a much better way than pulling out. That's why you see a lot of inclusion in our special ed programs, where students are not now being pulled out to go to a separate room. They're being serviced right there within the classroom. The intervention, we have some books. All of our administrators have them. Each of them is about this thick, and they're all on intervention. That's how much there is. And the neat thing is they're sort of like an index, and you just look up, what is the struggle? What is the student struggling with? And you turn to that page, and there's just a list of the different things. So it's really hard to say what the intervention is. It depends on what the root cause is. What's the issue, in order to determine what the correct intervention is going to be.
Well, thank you. I actually understand it a lot better now since you just explained it. But thank you. No, that really helped.
Good.
And it did. Anything else? No? Well, thank you very much for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you have to go? Because I think they're boarding right now.
Is this,
I was going to skip over that anyways. All right, okay. All right.
is this some kind of protest or?
Bring us some good information back.
Yes, we will.
We're going to be real quiet until you leave. All right. All All right, Jeff.
See you guys.
Okay.
Geez, I thought they'd never leave.
Okay. Public comments. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speaker cards and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have opportunity to address the board at the time of the agenda item in the meeting. If you are addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware that the provisions of the Brown Act prohibit the board from acting or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, per topic. Do we have anyone from the MEA? Seeing no one. Do we have anybody from the CSEA? Seeing no one. MEF? Seeing no one. Members of the community? We have no cards tonight. Superintendent update? We'll pass on that one. Trustee communications, we're going to actually pass on that too.
Sorry, it'll be quick. But principal from Taylor is here. Hi, Rob. I just wanted to comment on the fact that the Taylor music performance the other night was A1. It was amazing. Those kids did a fabulous job, and there were all kids from the elementary to through the middle school. And the music teachers were amazing. And so I just want to thank you. It was a great performance. And I also want to thank MEF for funding our music program because it's really looking good. So thank you. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was Halloween based, the costumes, everything. So thank you for that. You're welcome.
And I was there with Trustee Ferrario, and so I really enjoyed it too. It was a great show. Fantastic. The kids look so enthused. I mean, they had a blast. Okay. One other thing.
I'd say a few words, but I don't speak to groups less than 10. So, go ahead.
Real quick, the Meadows School is having a barbecue, an actual carnival on this Saturday, and it's from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They're going to have a clown, they're going to have a magician, they're going to have a petting zoo. I don't know if they passed that one through the district or not. I don't think, but Mr. Softy's going to be there, the ice cream softy, a favorite of mine and my wife's. And they're going to have a lot of entertainment. The Lions Club will be there. We're barbecuing. We're going to start at 11 o'clock. We'll finish about 1 o'clock. The event is over at 2, so stop by and say hello. Anybody else? Anything? Okay. And we're going to go to the consent agenda. Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Trustee Feynman, second by Trustee Musa. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Discussion item, CSBA board policy updates. Okay.
I will take that for Superintendent French. She wanted to let you know that she has been working with CSBA. The last time that we did a complete board policy review or overhaul was in 2017. So there are a lot of policies that need updating. And so she is hopeful that we will have a contract to bring to you at the next board meeting so that we can get that process moving.
Well, that's really good because I don't know. It feels like we went to sleep at the wheel there for about 5 years, and life passed us up on a lot of those issues. So that's really good. And then we also have a job description revision.
Similar, we met with the unions and we prioritized a number of job descriptions that haven't been revised in quite some time. And so some are being revised due to the length, like the ELD tutor was like 2001. And then some are being revised, although they've been revised somewhat recently, but because just the position has really changed in time. For example, like our payroll technician, just the job itself has changed significantly due to technology changes and just how payroll operates. So that although that was done in 2017 or 2019, it needs to be done again. So for CSEA, the next job we will be revising is one of our technicians for technology. That is at the top of the list.
Yeah, Claudia.
A lot of updating, huh?
Yeah, I think Claudia, Superintendent French mentioned some of those revisions at our last meeting because, as you remember, the list of Superintendent, Trustee Musa wasn't there, but she was showing us the grid of the different positions, and it was really necessary to modify those and update those. So I think we saw that. So thank you.
Yeah, so we do plan to bring a few to you in December. That is our goal, or January at the latest.
Okay. Well, thank you, Claudia. Okay, we'll move right along. We're up to possible future agenda items. Do we have anything? Well, I think one of the things we're going to be talking about is our test scores, correct?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Workshop coming up.
yeah, I would like to, there is a workshop to specifically look at data, but I would love for us to have an agenda item that kind of reviews some of the findings again, some of the trends, and really what our recommendations are. Thank you, Terry, for that presentation. I think there's a lot of more digging that we have to do on some of the trends that you identified, mostly the gap and the differentiation between Lomita Park scores and some of the other schools, as well as the trend downward. And I think it was math, specifically from 3rd through 6th grade, and then it kind of flattens out, but it doesn't really get better. So I think if we could have that as an agenda item, that would be great.
So I think the line of the line that it probably should be followed in is after we have our workshop, then we could get it on the agenda, and we could really take action on it, really. Yeah. Yeah, yes. Workshop. Coming up soon, too, next couple of weeks. Okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Anything else? Nothing? Okay. All right.
One is going to take a lot of work by the district office. So that should really be
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Approval of the adjournment. Do I have a motion? Okay, trustee Chin motions, second? Second. Trustee Faber and Musa, second. All in favor? Aye. I'm gonna hit it real light. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, did we start?